Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into something I know is definitely a concern for many of you TikTok creators out there.
Mm,
Understanding and, well, navigating the pretty murky waters of shadow banning.
right.
If you've maybe felt your views suddenly just plummet or, your content isn't reaching the audience it used to, this is for you.
Absolutely. And to help us unpack this, you brought in some interesting material. It's from a recent SocialWick podcast discussion, right?
That's right.
And what's interesting is SocialWick, they mostly focus on Instagram growth.
Yeah, that's their usual beat.
So the fact that they spend a good chunk of time talking about TikTok shadow banning, well, it really shows how widespread this whole issue of content visibility is.
It really does. It's clearly a pain point across different platforms.
A universal creator concern, basically.
Exactly. So our goal here is to really dissect this TikTok shadow ban thing, using those insights from SocialWick, and most importantly, give you some actual concrete steps you can take.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, let's get right into it. What is a shadow ban on TikTok? Like, what does it actually mean for a creator?
Okay, so think of a shadow ban on TikTok as, well, like an invisible hand kind of quietly limiting your account's reach.
Invisible being the key word, I guess.
Totally. And the really frustrating part is that TikTok doesn't, they don't actually tell you. There's no notification, no direct warning.
So your videos are still up.
Yeah, your videos stay live on your profile. Your existing followers can see them, but, and this is crucial, they get suppressed.
Suppressed how?
They're kept off the For You page, the main discovery engine on TikTok.
Right, where most new viewers find stuff.
Exactly. And they also won't pop up in search results for people who aren't already following you.
And like the folks at SocialWick pointed out, that a lack of any official heads up is what makes it so incredibly maddening, right?
Uh-huh. You just see this drop in views, maybe less engagement, and you're left completely guessing why.
Okay, so let's dig into the why then. What usually causes these things? What were the main reasons SocialWick pointed to?
Well, the primary driver, according to their discussion, is TikTok's algorithm. It flags content that it thinks violates their community guidelines.
Ah, so it's mostly automated. A system thing.
Largely, yeah. Think of it like a big digital filter constantly scanning content.
Okay, so the algorithm is playing moderator. What kind of content specifically sets off those alarm bells? Did SocialWick give examples?
They did. They mentioned things like violent content, obviously. Also spreading misinformation. That's a big one everywhere now.
Sure.
Then what they called spammy behavior. And also something that might catch creators out. Using hashtags that TikTok has banned.
Banned hashtags. Okay, that's interesting. So you could accidentally use one that's now on their blacklist?
It seems so, yeah. You
Yeah.
might not even know it's become problematic.
What about less obvious triggers? It can't just be about breaking major rules, can it?
That's a good point. And the source material did mention some less obvious things, too.
Like what?
Well, one was just posting too much, too quickly. Overposting.
Really?
Yeah.
How does that trigger it?
The thinking is the algorithm wants variety. So if you just flood the platform with tons of videos in a short time, it might look like you're trying to game the system, or maybe that the content isn't, diverse. So it might reduce your visibility.
Okay, that makes a certain kind of sense. Anything else?
Yeah. Another one was engaging too rapidly. So liking, commenting, following loads of accounts really fast.
Ah, like bot behavior.
Exactly. It can get misinterpreted as automated activity, even if it's just you being really active.
Gotcha. So it's not always the content itself, but sometimes the way you're acting on the platform.
Right. The patterns of activity matter too.
Okay, so if you're a creator and you start thinking, uh-oh, maybe I'm shadow banned, what are the signs? What should you look for? How did SocialWick say you identify this?
They laid out a few key indicators. The biggest one, usually, a sudden, significant drop in views.
Like really noticeable.
Yeah, like falling off a cliff compared
Oh,
to how your videos normally perform.
Okay. What else?
You might also notice your videos just aren't hitting the For You page anymore, even if they used to pretty regularly.
Right.
Another strong signal. Your hashtags don't seem to be working. Like your content isn't showing up when people search those tags.
The hashtags are dead in the water.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And just generally, you'll probably see less engagement overall, fewer likes, comments, shares than you're used to getting.
So it's less about one or two videos flopping and more like a sudden, consistent downturn across the board.
Exactly. That contrast between your usual performance and this new slump is the big red flag.
Now, what if you're sitting there thinking, but I'm pretty sure my content follows all the rules. Is there any good news then?
Yes, the SocialWick discussion did offer a bit of reassurance there. If you're genuinely confident your stuff adheres to the community guidelines,
Yeah.
then any shadow ban you might be experiencing is probably temporary. But they still advise taking action even then.
Okay, right. So even if you think you're clean, don't just wait it out necessarily.
It's probably wise to be proactive.
Yeah. All right, so you suspect you've been hit. This invisible limit is on your account. What's the very first thing SocialWick recommended doing?
Okay, first step, they suggested.
Yep.
Actually take a break from posting.
Stop uploading. For how long?
They recommended about 2 to 3 days, no new content uploads,
And the idea behind that is,
just to give the algorithm some space, maybe a chance to kind of reset its assessment of your account, let things cool off a bit.
a little TikTok timeout. Okay, makes sense. After that break, what's next?
After the pause, the next really crucial step is to review your content. Like really go through your past videos.
Your whole back catalog.
Oh, maybe focus on recent stuff, but be thorough. Honestly assess if anything might be borderline, even close to violating the guidelines.
And if you find something iffy,
The SocialWick hosts were pretty clear. If you have any doubt, it's best to just delete it. Err on the side of caution.
right. Better safe than sorry. Get rid of potential triggers, even if you're not 100% sure.
Exactly.
What about those banned hashtags we talked about? How do you deal with those if you find them?
Yeah, this is tricky, as the SocialWick team pointed out, because on TikTok, you can't edit captions after posting.
Oh, right. Unlike Instagram or other places?
Exactly. So if you suspect a video has a bad hashtag, maybe a trending one that got banned or just looks spammy,
Yeah.
your only real option is to delete that whole video.
Delete the whole thing. Ouch.
Yep, delete it. Then you need to re-upload it with different, safer hashtags.
Okay, so that requires a bit more work, some digital housekeeping, maybe even redoing stuff.
Definitely.
Anything else on the profile itself, beyond the videos?
Yes. They also said look at your whole profile, your username, your bio, even your profile pic.
What should you look for there?
Ask yourself, could anything here be seen as too edgy, maybe suggestive, or just generally pushing the boundaries of the guidelines?
And if so?
Clean it up. Change it. Make sure your whole profile looks compliant.
Okay, so it's like a full audit, content, hashtags, profile elements. Once you've done that cleanup, what's the next phase? How do you figure out what went wrong and maybe adjust your strategy?
Right, this is where you need to put on your detective hat and use TikTok's own tools. Specifically, the Pro Account Analytics.
The analytics tab.
Yeah. SocialWick really recommended diving into that. It shows you how your posts have performed over time.
How does that help with a shadow ban?
Well, you can see which posts did well and, crucially, where the reach might have suddenly dropped off. It helps you pinpoint when the potential shadow ban might have started.
Ah, okay. So you look for that cliff edge in your own data.
Exactly. You're looking for clues in your performance metrics.
What else can those analytics tell you?
You can also compare. Look at your older videos that were successful, good reach, good engagement, and compare them to the newer ones that are underperforming.
To see what changed.
Precisely. What kind of content did the algorithm seem to like before? What might be causing issues now? It helps you understand what resonates and maybe what's accidentally triggering these limits.
That's actually a really smart approach, using your own history as a guide. Now, something encouraging from the SocialWick chat was that these bans usually aren't forever, right?
Yes, that was a key takeaway. According to the info they shared, TikTok shadow bans typically don't last permanently.
Okay, so how long are we talking usually?
Usually somewhere between a few days and maybe up to about 2 weeks.
2 weeks max, roughly.
Around that, yeah. So for you listening, it means patience is really important, even though it's super frustrating.
Patience is tough when your views are down. But, okay, what should creators absolutely not do during this time? Any big mistakes SocialWick warned against?
Yeah, they specifically said,
Yeah,
don't try to find quick fixes or, hack the algorithm.
like trying secret tricks or loopholes.
Exactly. They emphasize that stuff often backfires. It can lead to even worse consequences for your account down the line.
So avoid the temptation to game the system.
Right. The focus should stay on, as we've been saying, consistently posting good, valuable content that follows the rules. That's the long-term play.
Stick to the fundamentals. Got it. But what if you do all that? You take the break, you clean everything up, you wait patiently, and things still seem suppressed. Is there any way to, escalate it?
Well, as a kind of final step, the SocialWick podcast did mention reporting the problem directly to TikTok.
How do you do that?
Usually in your settings, there's a support or feedback section. Look for an option like report a problem.
And what do you say?
There's often a category for things like feed search for you issues, or maybe something about views dropping. You can explain you suspect a mistaken shadow ban.
Okay. Should you include anything specific in that report?
The advice was to be clear, concise. If you can, point to evidence suggesting you haven't broken guidelines. Maybe mention your usual performance versus the sudden drop.
Does it work? Do they respond?
Well, the SocialWick guys managed expectations there. They said getting a direct, personalized response isn't guaranteed.
Ah, so it's a long shot.
It might be, but it is an official channel. It's a potential route for getting reviewed if you truly believe there has been an error. Worth trying as a last resort.
Okay, makes sense. So let's quickly recap the game plan if you think you're in the shadow ban zone. First, take that short posting break, 2-3 days.
Right, step one.
Second, do a really thorough review. Check past videos, delete anything dodgy, especially check and fix those hashtags, even if it means re-uploading.
The content and hashtag audit.
Third, check your whole profile username, bio, pic, clean it up if needed.
Report check, yep.
Fourth, use your TikTok analytics, become a data detective to see when the drop happened and compare old versus new content.
Analyze your data.
Yeah.
Crucial.
Fifth, remember it's often temporary, so patience. Don't try weird hacks.
Patience and playing by the rules.
And finally, if all else fails, consider reporting the problem to TikTok support, but manage your expectations about a response.
That's the final step, yeah.
Okay.
And really the main message that came through from the SocialWick discussion, and it applies broadly, is this. Dealing with a shadow ban sucks, no doubt. It's frustrating.
Totally.
But the best long-term strategy for success on TikTok, or really any platform, is just consistently creating stuff your audience finds valuable and always, always staying within those community guidelines.
That's really the core of it, isn't it? Consistent, valuable, compliant content.
Pretty much sums it up.
So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, as you keep creating on TikTok. Just take a moment now and then to reflect. Look at your overall content strategy. Is it really aligned with those guidelines? Are you genuinely trying to provide value and connect? Maybe even, make it a habit to quickly reread TikTok's official guidelines every so often, just to stay sharp and minimize the chances of hitting these frustrating visibility bumps.
Good advice. Staying informed is key.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.